Well, I'm out on the Revolt today, out in the gloom, but despite that, according to the forecast, this is going to be the best day of the week. So it's a case of get out there while you can. I ride all weathers, but when you have driving rain and storm force winds, well, sometimes a bit too much. And if I do go out, I just stay local. But that's not really what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about is the fact that the anti-cycling lobby has reared its ugly head again. Comes around from time to time. And it got me wondering, why is there so much anti-cycling feeling? I mean, you don't get anti-tennis feeling or anti-surfing. I've had a little think about it. One of the problems is neoliberalism, because companies want people to work more, work harder, achieve more, do more with less. And so people on the roads are really, really stressed, and they labour under the misapprehension that impatient driving will get them there quicker. And the difference, whether they make it to work on time, they perceive as being the 5 or 10 seconds they sat behind a cyclist. And then on top of that, we live in the age of the self. Everybody thinks they're the most important person in the world, and car drivers believe that they're entitled to drive along the road unhindered by other road users. But the biggest problem we have in the modern world is social media. Social media only make money if they keep you engaged. And it's a lot easier to keep you engaged if they keep you angry. I mean, yeah, you join a group that talks about growing the largest marrow, but after a while you get bored with that and you move on to the next thing. If you keep people angry, they keep coming back. It's human nature. Get in an argument, you want the last word, so you keep coming back. And the more you keep coming back, the more the algorithm feeds you more things to keep you angry. Very controversial in Wales. They've dropped the urban speed limit in most places to 20 miles an hour. Now, they've done it really sensibly, and driving around Bridgend anyway, you won't really notice any difference. But there's a Facebook group called 20 is Not Plenty, and that group exists to make people angry. With most people, there is no discernible difference on your journey time, and most roads are state 30. It's really only the roads that have got houses on that have dropped to 20. And the average journey time, or should I say, the average speed in Britain through an urban area is 12.5 miles an hour. So it really makes no difference. But most people have managed to persuade themselves that it's going to take them an hour longer to get to work. So they've all joined this Facebook group, venting their anger at something that really doesn't affect them. And it's the same with cycling. Cyclists doesn't affect them at all. But they've persuaded themselves that they do. Because they were on a social media group and somebody was complaining that cyclists go through red lights. Bastards! And they go, yes! I'm angry about that too. Oh, this is a little bit inconvenient. And one of the reasons I love a gravel bike. And then there's the government, because if they can persuade you to be angry at a group of people like cyclists, then you won't be angry at all the damage they're doing to the country. The other problem with the government is the mixed messaging. They tell the councils, you've got to provide cycling infrastructure, but while you're doing it, we're going to cut your budget. So all the councils can really do is paint a line halfway down the pavement, put a picture of a bicycle on it, and say they provided a cycle track. And they've got a lamppost in the middle of them and all sorts of things. So they're virtually unusable. And then the car drivers complain that cyclists don't use them. Because as I said, car drivers believe that the roads are there for them, and them alone. I've even heard people say that cyclists should be banned from the road because of that sense of entitlement. And then they need to justify it. If you ask them why, well, the roads were made for cars. And they weren't. Roads have been around since Roman times, and they were made for people. They started putting asphalt on the roads to make it easier for cyclists. I mean, some roads are made for cars, obviously, like motorways or interstates. And if you find me riding on the motorway, then I'll accept you have every right to be angry. And the other thing you hear from people is cyclists go through red lights. All cyclists? Yeah, all cyclists. Well, I don't. There are some red lights I go through purely and simply because they're triggered by the weight of a vehicle parked on them. And on a bicycle, you're going to be sitting there all day because you're not heavy enough, even with my bulk. But it's the exception. And anyway, the question is always, and if a cyclist does go through a red light, how would it affect your day? And that is the next problem with human nature. Well, it won't affect my day, but why should he be allowed to do something I can't? And of course the answer to that is, you can. Get yourself a bike. And then there's the self-righteous. Oh, I'd love to ride a bike, but I'm too busy keeping the economy going. Yeah, sure you are. And then there's the ones who complain that cyclists are always speeding. And as I've said, Wales has got a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in a lot of places now. And I'll be honest, I find it very difficult to do more than 20 for any length of time. But the other thing is, speed limits don't apply to pedal cycles. They only apply to motorised vehicles. And that's another source of anger. I mean, why should cyclists not have to obey the rules? Well, they do, but they have a different set of rules to you in your car, in the same way that heavy goods vehicles have a separate set of rules. The reason that heavy goods vehicles are restricted to 56 miles an hour in Britain is because they're big and heavy and take a lot of time to stop. Conversely, bicycles are very light and quite easy to stop and don't pose any danger to cars if they go over the speed limit. Tell you what is quite amusing, when somebody says cyclists should be banned from the road, you say no, cars should be banned from the road to make way for trucks that keep the goods moving that we need, and buses provide the transport we need. And they go, no, and it's quite amusing. Can't come back with an answer on that. The real answer is no, I want other people to be banned, not me. I don't like the fact that they have to overtake cyclists. How many times do you have a car pass you at the next set of lights? You're next to them again. And then the lights after that, you're next to them again. And that's why I said we live in the society of the self. I want whatever I do to be able to be done unhindered. Well, I heard an amusing story of a guy that got passed by a car next to the lights. He went past the car, and the car passed him, and it went on 5 or 6 times. And the car driver opened his window and said, I'm getting really annoyed, keep passing you. And he went, well, perhaps you should get it then. We're ending up in the same place at the same time. We would have been here exactly the same if you hadn't passed me all those times. And a bit later on, we saw him sitting in a queue for McDonald's. So he was annoyed at the couple of seconds it took to pass the bike. But he's quite happy to queue for 20 minutes in McDonald's.